Here is exactly how IM8, Ryze Superfoods, and PetLab Co. are scaling their paid ads with AI creatives, as you can see just here. So first of all, why are these brands winning? Well, very simply because they are pushing an absurd level of volume. Individually, these brands have thousands and thousands of ads live. As of recording this video today, Ryze have over 8,000 ads live, and both IM8 and the PetLab have roughly 1,500 ads live in their ad account, active right now, not previous, active live ads today. And that is the exact reason and the simplest and only reason why they are winning on paid, because they are testing so much volume. You see, since Meta introduced Andromeda, there's been a lot of talk about what Andromeda is and how it actually works, and Andromeda now requiring more creative. Very simply, and what most people don't understand is all that's really changed is how the creative is matched to the audience. So with the new update, what basically happens now is Meta reads the creative itself and what the actual creative says, not the copy, not the description or the primary text or headline, but the copy on the creative. If it's a static ad, or obviously if it's a video, what the person in the video is saying, and they match that copy to the specific customer pain point. It's not just being targeted by audience, it targets by what the ad itself actually says. So in short, the brands that are the most successful, like these three above and many others using similar AI ads, are very simply the ones that are producing the most diverse and specific creative. As Max very correctly and intuitively put here, it's now mandatory for every e-com brand to become a content machine, because Meta is so insanely good at matching specific ads to specific customer pain points, because it reads the actual creative and it targets accordingly. How are they doing this? Well, of course, they're doing this by using AI. At this level of scale, by producing 1,000 ads or 8,000 ads, as this brand, Ryze specifically, are doing, it would be impossible to be able to become a content machine as he depicted without using AI. And that's exactly how they are scaling so effectively. So what formats are they using specifically? Now, there are 8 main formats in particular that are being used and leveraged by these brands. First of all, we have these Pixar-style animation ads, and we have the AI talking object ads as well. Now, this is, as you can probably tell, an ad being ran by PetLab, and this one here is an ad being ran by Ryze. Now, the reason why these two formats work so incredibly well are very simply because they create something very memorable, they create something completely unique to the brand, and they provide the opportunity for the brands to be able to test a creative format, which is something that I will come on to and expand further on shortly, in a way that they wouldn't be able to do without the use of AI. Obviously, for PetLab, it would be impossible for them to be able to, film a dog doing something along these lines. It would just be physically impossible. And of course, as well, with this ad by Ryze here, they have the ability to turn their product into an actual character and avatar, which is far more memorable than something more generic. What does this do? Well, very simply, it just personifies the actual product itself. It creates more of a connection with the audience and leaves more of a memorable impact on them. And again, similarly with this Pixar-style ad by PetLab Co. here, it very simply allows them to articulate the pain point that they are addressing in a way that leaves more of an emotional and visceral impact on the audience compared to if they had done something more generic. So then we have these two. We have this AI, just standard UGC style content here that IM8 themselves are running. And then we have another IM8 ad here, which is the, as you can tell, this kind of medical visualization style AI animated content. Goes without saying that the AI UGC is a proven, tested format, works well, allows them to scale content formats like testimonials in a very effective way, very quickly, and of course, a very cost-effective manner as well. But then this is a really interesting format by IM8 here because, again, goes without saying, it provides them with the ability to test content that they would not be able to test manually whatsoever. Of course, it's physically impossible to be able to record. Well, it's not physically impossible, but it's borderline impossible to go in and record the inside of someone's stomach or whatever it may be. But the most important thing here, and why these ads work so well, is because they provide IM8, or whoever's running the ads, of course, with the ability to present education in a very informative, but importantly, entertaining way. Now, typically this is a drier subject, as it were. We're talking about mechanisms inside of the stomach and the gut and how the entire way the body works, essentially. And it's, again, something that if there is no entertainment involved in the content, it will come across very dry, which is why this is so effective, because, again, it builds more of that emotional connection, but allows them to deliver that educational and problem-aware message in a way that resonates with their audience better. So then here we have these other two types of AI animation content. We have what I call surrealism here with the dog teeth, and then we have the abstract/character animation, again by IM8. Now, both of these are really, really effective. I like these, playing on the same core concepts and ideas as the other visuals themselves and content types and formats, and really the fact that simply they stand out and offer them the ability to test different types of content. But specifically with this ad by the PetLab, again, impossible to film something like this completely manually. It would not be, just physically doable by any means, as you can probably imagine, or at least not feasibly. But importantly, what this does is it takes a very, very abstract concept in this particular instance, and it provides some real kind of clarity on what that problem is in a visually concrete way, as it were. It allows PetLab to really make the consequence of inaction feel more real. And of course, it stops the scroll because it's a content format that is so completely unexpected. And similarly here with IM8, as you can see, same sort of impact and effect here. What it really does is it turns something more abstract. Again, this is a biological concept, and it turns it into something that people can understand. And, really, again, same sort of concept here. We have something educational, we have something biological, but it's presenting it in a way that's actually entertaining for their audience to digest, to watch, to consume, and to ultimately understand and build conviction from. Then we have two final formats here. First of all, this is really interesting. Simply this kind of visual drawing style animation content. This is so effective just because it's different, and it's not necessarily particularly effective because of the type of content that it is. It's purely effective because of the fact that it is a new, novel type of content that the audience, anyone, even myself, is really used to seeing. And then again, Ryze have something pretty simple, pretty effective here, where basically, this is a video where we have an AI shot of their coffee, the packet, and a mug on a table, and then we just have this animation happening in the background where like this powder effect is basically blowing up, as it were, just like a nice cinematic and motion graphic style product effect, which is really, really effective. And as you can see, this is aimed at the Spanish market. They are localizing this across different markets, but it's really effective because when you start to scale at the breadth in which they are doing so, with all of the different markets and demographics they are trying to tap into, it requires so much visual variety. So something just like this, where they have the product, but they're just doing something extra with the content, is typically in these instances enough to be able to break that pattern and stop the scroll, and then be an effective way of delivering the message to a new audience. So one lesson I learned from this and looking at these specific ads, with Ryze in particular, what they are really using AI for to its best impact is just testing ads at scale. Like I mentioned, they have 8,000 ads live, active in their ad account as of today. So for them, their only constraint is production. It's not budget. They clearly have the budget to basically be able to produce as many ads as they desire on a given day. So therefore, the only thing stopping them from growing further is how much they can physically produce. Every single format that I've just shown and explained, so the Pixar, the mascot, the sketch style ad, the cinematic, the different avatars, these are all being ran by Ryze, and they are targeting completely, wholly unique target demographics, which is really interesting because they are only actually running a small number of unique angles, but they are running them across such a large variety of different formats, of different variations, and they are using AI to do so. They're not particularly focused on testing a whole bunch of new angles and trying to resonate with different audiences in different ways. They are delivering relatively the same message, but to different audiences, but in visually compelling ways, using AI to do so. From a storytelling perspective, this is something that the PetLab Co. are doing really, really effectively. A large percentage of their content is made up by the Pixar style content, like the example I showed, because it essentially allows them to do something that, again, simply they would not be able to do without the power of AI. Of course, there's motion, there's CGI, but it's far more effective, quicker, and cheaper to be able to use AI to do something like this. They are able to tell emotionally resonant stories that would literally be impossible for them to be able to film. And again, they have multiple versions of the same format. Well, in fact, it's not really, again, it's actually the complete opposite of what Ryze are doing. They are leveraging more angles across less different types of formats. So it's the complete opposite. They are going down the route of testing as many different angles as possible, which, although a different approach and requiring technically less, which is why they don't have 8,000 ads live, although they still do have 1,500, it requires more testing of concepts and content across these different angles. So they are testing different pain points like gut health, dental, joint health, anxiety, and so forth. But the main core point here is that they are using AI to be able to tell emotionally resonant stories, like I said, to really viscerally connect with their target audience, which of course is dog owners, a relatively easy audience to sell to, especially when you tap into some of those pain points that these people believe that their dog might be struggling with, and using AI in a way to really impactfully deliver that message. So then what do all of these brands have in common, which brings me to the most important point of this video, and something that I don't think a lot of people are considering when it comes to using AI for their ads. These brands are all using AI to do things that human production cannot do. I'm going to repeat that because it's really important. They are using AI to do something that a human themselves producing would not be able to do. They are not replacing humans. For example, PetLab, of course, it would be very, very hard to film a real-life version of that animated dog video. IM8, those characters, of course, it's a completely different content category. You could not feasibly record the inside of someone's stomach and create motion around that specific type of content. Ryze, their mascot, it's unique to AI. It's not something that you can record without some form of technology along these lines. And the biggest mistake that I think brands are making when they are trying to use AI or talking or considering the use of AI for their content, and in a lot of instances, talking negatively about the use of AI in content, is that they are presuming that AI is only used for the benefit of being able to produce cheaper ads or more ads, or we have to use this AI UGC content, which looks obviously AI. Now, I'm here to tell you, as backed by this proof, that the winning brands are not doing this. They are not trying to produce quicker ads or faster or cheaper or more cost effective or scale up this UGC that looks obviously AI and run these AI slop videos. They are uniquely using AI to produce formats that are new. So conceptually different types of content that are different to the other types of content that they're running and different to what their audience has ever seen before. And that specifically is why they are so effective. So then how can you leverage this? So producing all of your ads manually, it goes without saying, is a very, very outdated strategy. It belongs in 2025, potentially even 2024 at least. You are competing with brands like IM8, with Ryze, with PetLab, where the creative diversity, as you can probably imagine, obviously I've shown you a few examples. Feel free to take a look at their ad account now. The creative diversity is absolutely insane. The only thing that is stopping any brand, yourself watching this or really anyone, from doing something similar to what they are doing, obviously relative to spend, is production. And that barrier, that constraint, that bottleneck is removed by AI, now giving you the ability to produce all of these content types. I listed and showed examples of 8 here. There really are so many more diverse pieces of creative and content formats you can test. What it does require, quite simply, is just a bit of creativity and a bit of thinking outside the box, which in my opinion is something that most brands are lacking.